Hey guys, Victor here, coming at you again with another deck profile, and for today's video we'll be doing an updated Danger Dark World list, which, much like every other Danger Dark World list, is pretty much the epitome of high risk, high reward, as you're either going to be looping your opponent's entire hand away while building up an unbreakable board, or you're just going to be blown out immediately. There is literally no in between with this deck, but it's still an incredibly fun choice if you just want to have something like fun to do at your locals, right? And by fun, I mean fun for you, not so much for your opponent. But yeah, with that in mind, let's jump right into it. As always, we're going to be starting off with the monster lineup first, and to the surprise of no one, the first card we're going to be talking about is Genta, Gateman of Dark World, which we will be playing at 3, as it's pretty much the best card in the deck, right? You discard it, and then it gives you access to the gates of Dark World, and then because you discarded it, you're going to have fodder for the gates, and then the gates can start discarding and drawing, and just get your entire engine rolling. And as if that wasn't already enough, when this card happens to be banished and you control a face-up Dark World card, which you will because you have gates, it's able to reborn itself back from the banish once per turn. So it's basically a play starter that turns into an extender. There's really nothing negative about this card. Then, to accompany our 3 Gentas, we're playing 3 Reign-beaux Overking of Dark World. When this one's discarded, it just allows us to search our deck for any level 5 or higher Dark World monster except itself. So ideally, you want to add like something like Grapha or Sillva, but there are some players that want to play something like Gold or Lucent instead, which, valid targets, but for me, it's basically just going to be Grapha and Sillva. The main power of this card, though, happens when it's in the graveyard, as similarly to the OG Grapha, it's able to bounce back face-up Dark World monsters that you control back to your hand in order to summon itself from the graveyard. The only downside is that they have to be level 7 or lower, so you can't go like Reign-beaux for Reign-beaux or like Grapha for Reign-beaux, things of that nature, right? But it's still perfectly fine at just helping you replenish your hand and be able to continuously have fodder to be able to discard even more cards. So yeah, 3 Reign-beaux. And then for the final 3 of Dark World monster, Snoww, Unlight of Dark World, where it just gets discarded, and then you search your deck for any Dark World card. Really simple, really straightforward. Now that's it for the 3 of Dark World monsters. Then for the 2 ofs, we're playing 2 Grapha, Dragon Lord of Dark World, which its discard effect honestly doesn't really matter all that much because you want to go first with this deck every single time. But what it does is it's a mandatory destruction on your opponent's side of the field. But if you're going first, there's nothing to destroy. Typically, later on in the turn, when you have like cards like Gateman and ceruli on the opponent's side of the field, it's obviously a different story. But yeah, we basically don't really care about the discard. What we care about is the graveyard effect, where much like Reign-beaux, it's able to bounce back Dark World monsters to your hand from your face-up field in order to summon itself from the graveyard. However, unlike with Reign-beaux, it doesn't share the same restriction at level 7 or lower. The only restriction is that you can't bounce back Grapha with Grapha, but every other Dark World monster is pretty much free to be added back to your hands. So yeah, 2 Grapha, perfectly fine. And then for the other 2 Sillva, Warlord of Dark World, whenever I play Danger or Dark World, I always try to go for the hand loop because we just want to do as many degenerate things as possible, right? Like, yeah, we could play a fair game of Yu-Gi-Oh, but if we wanted to do that, we'd play a better deck, obviously, right? And when a deck gives you the option to lean into the degeneracy, you pretty much have to take it full steam whenever you can. So yeah, that's why we're playing the 2 Sillvas and then the 1 ceruli to go with it to ensure that we can get the Reborn Luke 2 effect or part of the Sillva effect. So that's it for the Dark World monsters, and now we're finished with those, and we can move on to the Danger aspect of the deck. So we're going to have our 3 Danger Nessie. Either it summons itself, or if it happens to be discarded, it searches your deck for any other Danger monster. We have our 2 Danger Tsuchinoko, which either summons itself or summons itself. 2 Danger Jackalope, which either summons itself or summons a danger from the deck except Jackalope. 2 Danger Mothman, which either summons itself or it becomes Dark World Dealings. And for those of you that don't know what Dark World Dealings does, it just both players draw 1 and then discard 1. But I don't really like relying on this one too much because then you just make it even more likely for your opponent to draw into a hand trap, like Drone Lockbird, for example, which just completely ruins your deck. So if you can, just try not to like use this card, obviously. But sometimes you're just gonna be forced into it. And then lastly, the 1 Danger Bigfoot, just to round it out, and it does provide us with like another level 8 to be able to go into rank 8 plays. That's it for the Dangers. And then for the final monster that we're going to be playing, we're playing the 2 Gen and the 1 Ken, just so that we have like another avenue to essentially do like a ceruli type of play, right? As we can normal or special summon the Gen and then activate as effect, giving the opponent the Ken, which will in turn activate to allow us to draw 2 and then discard 1. And then because it's on the opponent's side of the field, we get all the added benefits of all of our Dark World monsters, with ideally Sillva being the one that's getting discarded, right? But regardless, this engine's still pretty fun. It's not the best, and honestly, I'd probably prefer the tour guide engine just because it gives you a lot more flexibility with your plays instead of just having to go all in with the hand loop aspect. But there's no denying its effectiveness at just being able to either bait out an opponent's hand trap or basically just give you the auto win if it resolves. So with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can finally move on to the spell and trap portion of the list. Now that we're on the spell and trap portion of the list, we're going to be starting off with the only 3 of spell, being the Gates of Dark World. I enjoy discarding, I enjoy drawing, and this card basically allows me to do both as part of just like seamlessly fitting into the engine because it is part of the engine. It's not a brick. You're literally playing so many different fiend monsters that this card is going to be pretty much alive every single time, and I'm constantly cycling through all 3 of them as well. So yeah, 3 gates. That's it for the 3 ofs. Then for the 2 ofs, we're going to be playing 2 Allure of Darkness. You play so many dark monsters in this deck that it's basically a pot of greed every single time, right? And yeah, sometimes you'll run into those situations where you have to banish something that you don't really want to, but those situations are very few and far in between. And a lot of the time you'll just have something that you don't even need to get banished by this. So yeah, 2 Allure, perfectly fine. And then for the only other 2 of in the deck, when it comes to spells, we're playing 2 Dark Corridors, which 1, 2, the differences don't really matter all that much. Yeah, sometimes you'll end up drawing both of them, and that in turn allows one of them to basically become entirely useless for the rest of the game, or at least the rest of the turn. And that's perfectly fine, you know, just because being able to access this card as often as possible does allow you to basically do whatever you want, right? As you just add a Dark World card, and then you're able to discard any card in your hand, including the card you just added. So if this card resolves, the game is going to be basically wrapped up at that point anyways, so you can take the risk by playing multiples. And that's it for the 2 ofs. And then for the 1 ofs, we have 1 Dark World Archives, which I'm admittedly still not really that big of a fan of. Like, yeah, it allows you to discard and then also like draw cards, but in a lot of situations, I feel like I would much rather have a 3rd Allure of Darkness instead of this. The only plus side is that this card is also searchable off of Snoww, so you know, I guess we have like that little extra variance that we can like play with, but yeah, you know, it's fine. I'd probably rather play 3 Allure if I'm being honest, but it's fine for what it does. We're playing the 1 Dark World Accession to be able to access our fusion grapha, 1 Call by the Grave to potentially stop a devastating hand trap from hurting us, 1 Triple Tactics Thrust, which you're going to be playing ceruli and getting Ken, so you're going to be giving your opponent a monster in a lot of situations. So just having this that you can draw into and then activate pretty much whenever you want to get you one of your key power spells can literally just end the game. And it's also just really important to be able to guarantee that you can search out something like your Triple Tactics Talent to be able to rip the final card out of your opponent's hand to ensure that you can win the game. Or if you already have everything, you could also add something like a card destruction, right? Which is just another one of those auto win buttons that we have available to us. As if card destruction resolves and we're discarding 3 to 5 monsters, the game, it's basically unwinnable for the opponent at that point. So yeah, that's it for the spells. We don't play any traps because this is basically an all or nothing deck. You want to save those guys for the side for when you get floodgated games 2 and 3. And yeah, with that, that's the main deck. Should be 40 cards as always. Now we can finally move on to the extra deck. Now that we're on the extra deck, we're going to be starting off with the Link monsters first, and the first card we're going to be talking about is Muckraker from the Underworld, who's just one of those cards that it's nice to have in your extra deck, right? As it pretty much allows you to play through all of your opponent's responses, potentially, as what it does is you just discard a card, and then you get to reborn any fiend monster. And the discard is part of the effect, so that means it's going to be able to trigger both your Dark Worlds and your Danger monsters. The only downside to Muckraker is that you can't use it as link material the turn that it's link summoned, and it also does lock you into fiends. So if you can help it, try not to go into this one too early because it does limit your plays quite substantially. And that's it for that. And then for the other link 2s that we're going to be playing, we're going to be taking advantage of Security Dragon and the Akashic Magician. Both basically have the same goal of being able to bounce back monsters to the hand, especially cards like Ceruli and Kenningen. But we're playing one of each just because it allows us to basically be able to go into as many different scenarios as possible, right? As there are some times where you're just not going to be able to get to the Akashic because you have to go into some kind of other link monster first. Not necessarily this one, but you know, just something in general, and you just don't have the zones available. And then if you just need something like co-linked, Security Dragon's your guy, and like you know, just vice versa basically. But they help you cover each other's weaknesses and allow us to just recycle resources back to the hand, which is why I enjoy playing one of each. And then for the other link 2s, we're playing the 1 IP Masquerena, which is a phenomenal end board piece that allows us to go into cards such as SP Little Knight to banish something, Nightmare Cerberus to pop a special summon monster, and even Nightmare Unicorn to be able to shuffle back any card. And they're all phenomenal targets that pretty much allow us to meet any certain situation that we might face, right? You do have to be aware, though, in the case of cards like Nightmare Cerberus and Nightmare Unicorn, that they do discard for cost. So that means they will not be able to trigger your Dark World monsters. They do trigger the dangers, though. So, if you have those guys in your hand, feel free to ditch them for fodder. That's it for the Link 2s and the 1 Link 3 that we're playing. Then for the Link 4s, we have Saryuja Skuldred, just basically to be able to clean up the board, draw 4 cards, fix our hand by putting the bad cards back to the bottom of the deck, and it gives us a free special summon as like another extension play. So yeah, this card, I just love this card. And then to accompany our Link 4 Saryuja, we're playing the Link 4 Abawaku, the Lightless Shadow. As if you do get bombarded by hand traps, this is a pretty solid card that you can make at some point throughout the game, just to be able to just like have some kind of boss monster that does something, right? As the pop effect, the reborn effect are both very solid. Just be aware that this one does discard for cost, so it will not trigger your Dark Worlds once again. Dangers, though, by all means, discard those guys. They'll all trigger. That's it for the links, though. And then for the Exceed monsters that we're going to be playing, we're playing one number 41 Baguska, the Terribly Tired Tapir, as there are just so many situations where you need to buy yourself a turn, right? So going into something like Baguska can sometimes guarantee it, probably not, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And we have the one number 62 Garrus the Timeless, which allows us to basically just draw 2, discard 1, right? So yeah, card is solid. Then we're going to be playing for the rank 8s, 1 Coach King Giant Trainer. The burn effect doesn't really matter anymore because the time rules basically just don't exist, but we still very much appreciate being able to draw 3 cards into our deck, as it just gives us an added boost to consistency, and it's pretty easy to make, admittedly, right? As he just takes like a Grapha, a Reign-beaux, and then like a Danger Bigfoot or something. And then for the other rank 8, we're playing the number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy as a spell and trap negate. Or if you want, you could play the number 90, I believe, which is like the monster negate. But this one is just overall better into most matchups. And that's it for the Exceeds. And then for the Fusions, we're just playing 2 Grapha Fusion to be able to have like another pseudo negate, but it also allows us to discard cards. So with that, that's the Dark World profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!